Hello YouTube, this is your boy Bubbalo from Split Screen Games, here to talk about the new Majora's Mask 3DS. Today I wanted to just talk about some of the things that I like and I don't like about the new system, and hopefully this will give you a bit of insight on what to expect and whether or not you should upgrade any current model of the 3DS that you have, or, you know, we'll see. We'll see what everybody thinks about the new 3DS. But as you can see, the box is pretty thin. If you look on the back, some of the features are super stable 3D. I guess it has better 3D support, but we'll talk about that. It has built-in man-child action figure support. You know, if you like those amiibos, you like spending $20, $30 on some amiibos. I think they're $15, but you know, some people be going crazy for those amiibos and spending $20 and $30 for them. That's for you. It's got a faster processor, so I guess you can download stuff faster, and some games should function better and quicker with the new processor that they put in it. Well, it's not really new, it's just upclocked. They got a new C-stick for enhanced controls, and we're going to open it up and we're going to examine the new 3DS, and I'm going to show you all what it's like to own this. Alright, so first things first, we're going to take it out of the box. And so right away, there was a few things I noticed about the new 3DS. First of all, the game cards no longer go on the top like the original models over here. Like, let me show you my Persona Q edition right here. Game cards go on the top here. Game cards go on the top, and you had a port for a charger. And I think you also, that's a wrist strap where you put a wrist strap at right over here, these little holes. I could be wrong. Actually, no, I think that's at the bottom. But now they removed that. Now the only thing up here is one for the charger. You have your wrist strap grip right here. But they also added two new ZR and ZL buttons. Now, one thing I noticed off the bat when I played a couple or pressed around with the buttons is it's very awkward. If you have big hands, you often wind up pushing, like as you're trying to push the new ZR and ZL buttons, you end up pushing the L and R buttons, and that was pretty uncomfortable. I didn't really like that. But I feel like the placement should have been somewhere like here, like the consoles, if they were going to do that. Or, you know, maybe even the touchback like the Vita, but it's whatever. Some people might like that, and for me, it was not a very good experience. The new selling point, which is the more in-depth 3D, I don't honestly see it. It looks exactly the same to me. I put Pokemon in and I tried the 3D. The 3D isn't as laggy, but it still is not that great. And honestly, that's a feature I'll never use on the new 3DS or any 3DS. I like the new button layout. These are a bit bigger. They spaced them out a little better. They went back to traditional start and select buttons here rather than having everything laid out on the original one. If you see right here, because these often get jammed in, which is the one disadvantage to owning these. The home button and the start buttons usually get jammed in pretty easily, and accessing the power button has always been a pain. One thing I also noticed about the original model is it takes a while to turn these on and off. They take a while to boot up, and they take a really long time to turn off sometimes. And this thing seems to go on and off fairly quickly. This is where the power button is, and here is where on the bottom as well, right here. This is where the new stylus is, right down here as well. There is no Wi-Fi switch. If you have to turn off the Wi-Fi on these new models, you have to go in manually and turn off the Wi-Fi. So that's kind of a drawback, because on the original model, the Wi-Fi was right on the side. You had the little side switch that you just had to flick up and down, and it would take care of you. The new thumbstick. Let me talk about that. Well, first things first, I noticed that they built an end groove right here to help protect it from gouging out the top part, so that was smart in design. But I do not like this C-stick that they built onto this. First of all, you cannot push it in. You can't push it in, and it doesn't move. It's stationary. So when I found that out and I actually tested it around, it's more motion detection, like the ThinkPad and stuff like that. It's really not a real C-stick, and I just don't know why Nintendo feels the need to play it safe, or not even, that's not even really safe, play it really stupid with some of these features, because if you have the original 3DS or the XL, you could buy an attachment that puts on another D-pad, and it was compatible with a couple of games, but for some reason Nintendo chose not to fully support it, and now we have the new 3DS. So if you were looking for like that Vita-like experience, don't look for that, because the Vita still has a beat there. What else could I say? Overall, it is a bit thinner. My Persona Q Edition 3DS has a case on it, so it looks a bit thick, but in actuality, it is a bit thicker than the new one. The new one is pretty thin. The new one is a bit longer, though. The screen is a tiny bit bigger, but not really noticeable. So, don't look for a whole new revolutionary experience as far as screen size go. They're both still the same size, both still the same resolution. So, I mean, as far as games looking better, they're going to look the same between both the consoles. Nothing's really changed there. To me, I think the new 3DS is just better at multitasking, honestly, and I don't really use the C-stick that much, so for me, it's kind of a waste. But I'm a Legend of Zelda fan, so I overlooked the fact that the design was actually pretty, I'd say, wasn't really worth the $199. I overlooked that because I'm a Legend of Zelda fan, so every time a Legend of Zelda model, anything came out, I always picked it up. I have a Legend of Zelda Wii U, the Wind Waker one. I have the original Ocarina of Time 3DS. I have the Link Between Worlds 3DS, the XL one. So I've always been picking up the Zelda consoles, whether or not it was necessary. So I figured, I might as well get this one too. Like it or not, I have a complete Zelda collection right now. But overall, I'd give the new 3DS a 6 out of 10. They improved on some things, but some things I just felt is unnecessary. The lack of the charger in the box is very inconvenient. The new ZL and ZR buttons, they're kind of not placed comfortably on the new console. I do like the way that they went back to the traditional start and select, and they have this really responsive home button when you want to go home. It doesn't jam in. I like that. The C-stick, pointless. There was really no need for the C-stick. Nintendo, they are better off just adding a big D-pad somewhere else and just scrapping this little tiny thing. This little nub that was kind of pointless.
ThinkPad touch thingy.
Yeah, Yeah, that little ThinkPad touch thingy. That was so bad. I do like that the game cards are on the bottom now. That's actually pretty cool. Brings me back to the SP days, having your game cards on the bottom. Everything else I think is pretty placed. The lack of a Wi-Fi off button is inconvenient because that means you're burning your battery unnecessarily when you don't want to. Um, a couple of things I think Nintendo also needs to work on outside of the 3DS is they're on the making connecting because your purchases that you make on the digital store to an account rather than the console. Um, because if you own an original one or the original XL, if you plan on upgrading, you have to keep both until you do the system transfer. If you don't do the system transfer, you cannot access any of your digital content. And I have a lot of digital games. I have a lot. Too many to be losing like that. I don't plan on selling my old one because I really like the Persona Q one. But for those who don't have the money to have both, you're going to have to hold on to your original one and transfer it over. If you also planned on selling your old 3DS to a retail like GameStop or Best Buy, unfortunately you're going to have to sell your charger, and the new one does not come with a charger. I know that sucks, but that's just the way these retailers do it. They want to make sure that when they sell their product secondhand, that it's fully functional out of the box, so you have to comply. The chargers aren't that expensive. They're about maybe $10 to $10 for a charger. And I know that's kind of a ripoff out of the box. You know, you buy a $199 console and you expect for you to be able to do everything out of the box, but it doesn't. So just keep that in mind. Honestly, I would say if you have the XL, the original XL, or the 2DS, you are fine. There's no reason to go out and pick up a new 3DS. It is not necessary, and it's incomplete out of the box. You cannot charge it without the charger, and for many people, if this is your first 3DS, you might want to go with the original 3DS. Or the original 3DS XL. You'll get everything you need. Everything works. You don't have to go and buy an additional charger with an additional fee. And it's just an overall complete package. The new console's great. It's still nice, but it's just really unnecessary. But I thank you all for watching and have a good one.